Ear piercings have had a long history among humans, and I have an eye twitch. Oh, can you see that? Affect your work and your social circle. Oh, intrinsic. I'm hungry. Hi, Luciana here, and welcome back to my channel and my Great Corner, a place where we talk about the good, the bad, and whatever else is in between. And in today's video, I want to discuss how and why society might judge grown-ass adults, like me, for wanting to get their faces pierced after the teenage years. I'll go over a little bit about the psychology of belongingness and how a face piercing might affect your work and social circle. I will also talk about facial piercings history, because why not? I'm curious like that and I like to share what I learned. So let's talk about it. Cue the intro. From warding off demons that might get through your ears, to showing wealth and paying for funerals in case you die at sea, ear piercings have had a long history among humans. And so have other facial piercings like septum or lip piercings, which are common in tribal people in Asia and Africa, to make their warriors look fierce or to represent their gods' mythology or as a marriage ritual. Tongue piercing used to be a form of blood sacrifice in between the 14th and 16th centuries among the Aztecs and Mayans. Nose piercings in India are often part of wedding jewelry and are seen as a mark of beauty, social standing, and a way to honor their Hindu goddess of marriage, Parvati. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Nose piercings reached the West in the 60s and 70s when hippies started traveling to India and brought the idea back with them, which then was taken by the punk movement in the 70s as a sign of nonconformity. And this idea of nonconformity, punks, and piercings still remains until today in some people's head. And that's where the judgment came from, whenever you try to defer yourself from society's standards nowadays. As if you're trying to be a rebel without a cause, as my mom used to tell me every time I wanted to be different. Te amo, mãe. As you can see, facial piercings have been around for a long time in human history, with the first record showing up in a 5,300 years old mummy called Otis, who had holes in his ears. This guy here. So why then are adults being judged for wanting to get a piercing after their teenage years? Even if it doesn't affect their work. It seems to have been common practice worldwide for thousands of years, especially among grown-ups. So why then? I think you can do whatever you want with your body. And you shouldn't let other people's opinion deter you from adorning your body in whatever way you want. Do what makes you feel happy and beautiful. That's just my opinion, okay? But when researching for this video, the number of forum discussions that I found where people were asking if it was okay to get a piercing after 30, or if there was an age that was too old to get a piercing, or if it was okay for a mother to get a piercing, was ridiculous. And so were some of the answers. So after seeing this, I'm like, why are fully matured adults being judged for wanting to get a piercing later in life? And why are they concerned about it in the first place? Like, I have questions. Why are they searching for approval? Like, you're a grown-ass adult, do whatever you want, right? Well, let me elaborate. It all comes down to our intrinsic need to feel like we belong. Let me read this quote from the article How the Need to Belong Influences Behavior by Kendra Cherry in order to explain. In social psychology, the need to belong is an intrinsic motivation to affiliate with others and be socially accepted. This need plays a role in a number of social phenomena, such as self-presentation and social comparison. The need to belong to a group also can lead to changes in behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes as people strive to conform with the standards and norms of the group. So, that says a lot. And this judgment that I'm talking about is probably connected to the image most of us grew up with, if you're around the same age as me. That some people decided early in life, during their hormonal teenage years, to get pierced as a form of being rebellious. So we might associate being punk, rebellious, with people with piercing. And the image of rebels, punks having piercings is what got stuck in some people's conservative mind. So when an adult decides to get a facial piercing because it suits their personal style or because they want to try something new, then the opinion starts raining down. And in my case, when I was judged at work for it, it was because my boss and co-workers thought of it in the same light. Now, if we all thought that getting a face or body piercing was just a form of beauty or self-expression, like getting a new haircut or changing your hair color, for example, I hardly think there will be such judgment happening. But I guess this perception changes from culture to culture, and it has come a long way since then in some places, as it has become more acceptable, while others still hold a regressive form of thinking. So let me share my own experience. In 2015, when I was 27 years old, I decided to get my nose piercing the second time. The first time I got my nose pierced was back in 2009 when I pierced on the right side, but that didn't work out so well back then because of the industry that I was working in, hospitality. You see, over 10 years ago, it wasn't acceptable, maybe it still isn't today, for client-facing employees to sport an out-of-the-box facial feature like a piercing or a tattoo. So before going to my second cruise ship contract in the end of 2009, I decided to get my nose pierced with my sister. And I honestly thought I could hide it while working in the reception. You know, with the help of some nude medical adhesive tape and some makeup, I thought I could just, hide the little stud. But no, the management soon noticed and asked me to stop using it while working. And eventually the hole closed. Because, I would forget after the shift to put the stud back in. It was a fresh piercing. So it just closed off. So that didn't work out. I lost the piercing. I still have the scar, tiny little scar, but yeah. So 6 years later, in 2015, I decided to pursue being the way I always wanted to be. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna get my nose pierced again. I'm gonna dye my hair purple because life is short and why not? And here's the result of that. I always wanted to have those attributes. I always wanted to look like that. And back then it seemed as good time as ever. So on my first day at work, after getting the piercing done, my co-workers' first reaction, who were 35 plus, was to ask me if I was having an early life crisis. If I was going back to being a teenager. And that really annoyed me. Like, my Brazilian blood boiled inside of me. So what did I do? I had long discussions with them, explaining that you can get a piercing at any point in your life, because piercing is a form of self-expression, a form of adorning your body. Just like getting a tattoo, a different haircut, or changing your clothing style. I told them they should be more open-minded and stop bugging me for doing what I want with my body. It's my body. Does it offend you? Like, am I hurting you? What do you care? That I was still the same professional, just with an added bling on my face and a different hair color. It's just an appearance change. But the bullying unfortunately lasts for months, and 3 months later, I believe, I quit the job. Not just because of the piercing and the hair color, I was, well, I guess that was the last drop. Anyway, I wasn't comfortable at my workplace. I didn't feel like I had the support from my superiors to try to, stop the situation. And it is what it is, anyway. But that reaction, that unfortunately was followed by some family members and some friends as well, got me thinking that even in modern day society, these radical changes are still frowned upon. To get a body piercing after your teenage years is seen as a form of trying to be cool again. Like, are you lost? Are you not yourself? As if you're doing shtuyot, which is a Hebrew slang for nonsense, shtuyot. And that raises another question, like, why are people judging others for being different? I thought we were way past this in this decade. Apparently not. Side note about bullying, which I didn't know. Contrary to popular belief, the reason people get bullied is not because of what makes them unique. It's actually because the person who is bullying might have experienced trauma, might have low self-esteem, a difficult life at home, low access to education, or insecure relationships, according to ditchthelabel.org. Now, I'm not justifying it. It's still wrong to bully others, but now you know the reason isn't you. Okay, so if you're being bullied, it's not you, it's them. Okay, there are studies to back this up. So you're doing great. Just keep doing you. And fuck off the haters. Now, if it's just irrelevant judgment from your peers, I guess it's easier to face it and pull through. But what about when it affects your work or your relationships once you're at a certain age and period in life? Like, for example, with a steady job and married with kids. The people around you might suddenly think that with a new piercing, you don't look like the responsible, put-together person that you used to be, or the people expected you to be. And that might cause some emotional and perhaps financial distress. Now, for a long time, like years and years now, I've wanted to get a lip piercing. I think it's very sexy and intriguing, when someone is talking and you just see the little bling, moving around. I think it's great. I even tried on myself with my helix piercing with this ring here. I tried putting it on to see what it would look like and take some pictures, but I end up losing the titanium ball that closed it off on the process. I don't know if you can see, but it's open. So I bought a new one yesterday to replace, so I'm gonna change it now on camera with you guys. This one is not titanium like this one. This is the original that I did the piercing with. So we healed with this one inside, the same with the nose ring. It never changes, the original one also. Wow, 6 years. It will be 6 years already. Okay. So this one is not titanium like the other piercings that I have. This one is a surgical stainless steel. It's like a half moon with some crystals. I don't know if it's focusing or not. Please don't mind my nails. They have white polygel underneath the clear one, so. Anyway, let's sterilize it. Now the guy in the shop even gave me this one also, right? I mean, like, one for the ear and one for the piercing itself. We keep that for when you're outside, because I have my liter alcohol here for sterilizing things. Let me zoom you guys in so you can see close. Wow, that's close. You guys are close. You're probably seeing all the creased under eye. By the way, let me fix that. It's all melting away. Okay, so back to the story. When I was considering finally getting a piercing, it was last year. My son was pinch, pinch, pinch. Ay. Titanium ring out. So yeah, so my son was 1 year old when I decided to get, you know, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm getting a lip piercing. Like, fuck the world. Okay, Luciana, don't lose this ball also. That would be a problem. So but I got a bit concerned and decided to postpone the idea of getting a lip piercing when my son was, you know, at this age. Because he was entering the toddler age, which meant he will get extra curious about shiny things, especially on my face. And he will probably act on that curiosity by trying to touch it and pull it like he usually does with my nose piercing. Not a good idea. And that could tamper with the healing process of the piercing. You know, if you move it too much or dirty toddler hands and things like that, it's not optimal, it's not ideal. But besides that, besides my son touching the piercing and things like that, I was also concerned for my work. You see, back in 2017, when I had just done my helix piercing a few months prior, I went to a marketing conference in London. And during some of my meetings, people, mostly men, they were commenting on how cute the nose ring was, but like in a childish kind of way, like patronizing me. Okay, that looks cute, but I think it's a bit short. And in one meeting that I had with a group of Indians from the US, they commented like, wow, that's a lot of piercings you got there on your face. And I'm like, I have only like 2 in my face area, but okay. I politely said thank you as if it was a compliment, but I felt how uncomfortable he was with that. Oh man, now with these nails, trying to screw a tiny little ball, that would be a challenge. Okay. Shit, the ball just fell. Let me go try to find it.
5 minutes later.
No, I didn't find it. I'm gonna try after I finish recording this to see if I can find it. I'm gonna, you know, sweep the house and see if we're gonna find a tiny little stainless steel ball. But at least I think it looks cute. If we can keep it. So yeah, back to the London conference story. So yeah, so they made a comment of, wow, you have a lot of like piercings on your face. Now, I don't know why. Maybe it was because of the Indian culture. Maybe he thought it was disrespectful of me, of having like a nose ring just as an accessory. I don't know, but it was awkward. You know, in my work line, with face-to-face meetings and sometimes international affiliate conferences that I need to go, I get mixed feelings about having a lip piercing. Nose piercings are so common now that I don't really mind it anymore. It's not so different. You know, it's just another ring. I have rings on my ears, I have ring on my nose. But a lip piercing, like a lip ring, it might still be a taboo. Like, I don't know. You know, Israel is known as the startup nation. And in most companies that I worked for, they were all laid back. There was no dress code. You can pretty much dress however you want as long as you work and you perform. Which sounds fair. I like that. But at the same time, I deal with international partners, right? I'm not just dealing only with Israeli companies and Israeli clients. And sometimes I feel like if I went to a meeting with a lip ring, even if I would be all put together and dressed up nicely, I would still feel like people might not consider me as professional because of the piercing. Like, I feel like I might lose business because of it. And I like my money. I don't want to lose business.
Hello, I like money.
Is that a right assumption? Or is it just in my head? Maybe some people will feel more comfortable with me because of the piercings, and it will be like an icebreaker or, you know, a way to connect. For others, it might throw them off and they wouldn't want to close a deal with me because of it. I guess in the end, you need to weigh what's more important to you. To break the mold and prove to people that you can have controversial piercings and tattoos and still be a great professional and risk losing some business because of it, because unfortunately there are still closed-minded people out there. Or not live life the way you want it, but maintain the status quo. Like, which one you want. Eventually the time will come. I'll gather the tits to make a lip piercing and choose the part that I'm gonna prove to people that I can just be who I want to be and still be a great professional and lose some business on the process, because it can happen. It might happen, I don't know. And once the time comes that I'll finally get a lip piercing, I'll make a video about it, okay? The whole journey, choosing the place where I'm gonna do, the professional, you know, the jewelry, the whole shebang. But unfortunately, the prejudice is real, and it's not acceptable in all industries and lines of work to have facial piercings. So what should you do then, huh? If you really want a facial piercing and you're not a youngster anymore, just say fuck it and get it done and deal with the consequences later? No, probably not the best course of action, especially if you are dependent on the income coming from this job. Look, if you really want to pierce your face and you worry about your work, what I suggest you do is talk to your colleagues, talk to the HR or your boss if you think that they're gonna be open to it. And ask what they would think. Ask if there's a policy against it. Talk to someone you trust to give you an honest opinion before making a decision. I don't think anyone should be judged by their personal style, by the way they dress, or how they look. However, unfortunately, we human beings are very judgmental when it comes to appearances. And although I personally don't give a shit, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I don't know you, or where you live, or how not giving a shit would affect your life. But if getting a piercing is something that you're really passionate about and not just a fad, then don't listen to the haters or people who think that 30 years old is a magic number where all piercings should disappear from your body. And try your best to get it done without turning your life upside down. Now, my other question is, if a 30-plus-year-old man would decide to get a piercing, would society respond the same way? Would a father be judged as much as a mother for trying to get a piercing or a tattoo after 30, 35? I'm not sure. I hope there's equality, but somehow I think that women will be judged more harshly on this. The fathers with tattoos and piercings are cool, and moms with tattoos and piercings are like problematic or like crazy or something, or harsh or not as loving. I don't know, I have a feeling that there is a disparity here. In the same way that there is a disparity when judging women with white hair and men with white hair. Like men are seeing as a charm. Oh yeah, it has some gray hairs, like that looks so good, like George Clooney or something like that. And women with white hair are like, oh, she's lacking, like she's not paying attention to her appearance or something like that, you know what I mean? Because humans, as explained in social psychology, have the need to feel like they belong. If you live in a group or if you're trying to be part of a group where people are always looking posh with the perfect hair and no other outrageous embellishments on their face, then yeah, a lip piercing or a nose piercing might be non-conforming. And you might feel insecure subconsciously because the social group might judge you for it and not accept you as you are. The same applies if you're trying to be part of a group of people full of piercings and tattoos and you don't have any. You might feel the same way, like you don't belong in the way you currently are. You might then consider getting some ink or metals in your body to fit in. It's human nature. We want to feel like we belong. What I'm trying to say is, it's natural for humans to judge others' appearances. And there is inherent nature in us of wanting to belong, to conform, whether you admit it or not. We all do. It's okay not to want to match up to society's standards of beauty and how responsible adults should look like. And also because I think that's just plain bullshit. But we all want to feel accepted. And I guess that's why I haven't acted on my desire to be the way I always wanted to be, which is like full of tattoos and piercings. Like your body is an artwork and you're just living for it. Because I think that's just beautiful. It's a beautiful form of self-expression, of carrying with you the things that you think are beautiful and important and making them permanent. Or not, because nowadays nothing is permanent anyway. Technology has come a long way and you can remove tattoos and piercings and have plastic surgery or whatever to change whatever you want. So, like the fear of things being permanent is not that scary anymore nowadays. And although I have done some of the things to get there, I'm not yet on a place where I feel like this is me. Okay, this is not the person I want to be. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not proud of who I am. Of course I am. I love myself and I love everything about me, but it could be better. You know what I mean? Like, this is still not how I want to present myself. The first tattoo I ever wanted to make was a dragon on my back, which would be from like the upper claw will be all the way from the neck bone here, all the way to the tip of my spine. And I drew that dragon based on a drawing underneath my skate shape. And I did a drawing back when I was 9. So since I was 9 years old, I wanted to get a tattoo of a dragon on my back and I never done it. And I'm 32. Like, that's crazy, you know? It's a lifetime. Like, people have been born and they're adults now and like you still didn't do it. I also remember when I was 12 in art classes, making a drawing of like who I wanted to be, making a portrait of yourself. And I painted my hair all red, like with the stripes of red, like this. Very radical at the time, 2000. And again, these are just like some of the hints of like how I want it to be, and I'm still not there. So what my message is here, go after the things that makes you happy, that makes you feel you. Because again, life is short. Time goes by so fast. And one of the things that I don't want in my life is to have many regrets. If possible, not to have any regrets. And I have very few regrets in my life. And this is one of them, of not fully expressing myself the way I want to. So just a note, if you can, find the courage and just be you. And I feel like now at 32, I'm finally in a position in my life where I don't have to worry about not being accepted at work for how I look. And that's liberating. Like, I'm in a position where, like, I make my own hours, I make my own rules. I go after what I want, I go after my own money, and nobody cares about how I'm dressed. And that's just great. And I feel like this is the time. Luciana, you want to get your first tattoo? Go do your first tattoo. You want to get a lip piercing? Go do it. Because we never know if we're going to have tomorrow, you know what I mean? Wow, that's like way too deep. Anyway, let's wrap this up. So as soon as I have more money saved, I'm probably gonna get my lip pierced on my birthday this year, October, end of October, for 33. And if everything goes well, by the winter, I'll try to get my first tattoo done, because I heard that in the winter is easier for recovery, right? In the skin, not so much sun and all of that. Let's see. Exciting times. Anyway, long story short, I'm just here to give you some food for thought about the subject. What do you think? Would you just get a piercing done and show the middle finger to whoever is against it? Or would you prefer not risking stirring the pot? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I want to know. I'm always curious. If you like this video, then please hit the like button. Consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see more of me and my crooked eyelashes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!